I bought the Audient ID14 MK2 interface more than 2 years ago, right after it was released. And today I'm gonna talk about the features that I use all the time and the features I don't use at all. Before we get into the features, let's quickly talk about the use cases I have, because depending on your needs, you might need different features as well. 90% of the time, I use the interface in my home studio, mixing tracks through headphones and a pair of monitors with a subwoofer. I record individual instruments such as clarinet, saxophone, guitar, ukulele, small percussion, either at home or in a rented studio. And sometimes I will record drums and percussions like congas, and I also take the interface with me when I'm traveling. So let's take a look at the features I use the most. USB-C power was the main reason I switched from Mark I to Mark II interface. With the Mark I, I always use a wall plug and I always forgot to turn it on. And if the interface was already connected to the computer, switching the external power would freeze the interface, forcing me to turn off the monitors, reconnect the interface, and turn everything back on almost every time. Super annoying. The main advantage of USB-C is that the interface can draw much more power from the computer, which means engineer can use better sounding circuitry and components. Another advantage of not using a wall plug is the ability to record an electric guitars in room with no ground. You can just power the interface from your laptop's battery, plug in a guitar with a single coin pickup, and it will have no noise. I have used other interfaces in the past, and I remember my gain knob being all the way to the right most of the time, and it still wasn't enough. Now the gain knob is rarely halfway, and it's super low noise. I use 250 ohm headphones, and many interfaces don't work well with them, and it's not a problem at all with the ID14. It used to be a feature of $1,000 plus interface, and it's crazy how much more you can do with it. Sometimes I record congas and I need a third mic to pick up the low frequencies. I use a cheap Behringer ultra gain converter for that, and it works just amazing. You can also record a whole drum kit using a total of 10 channels. It's crazy. This turns to be a very useful feature for me. I use the second pair of the outputs to send the signal to my sub. My monitors have a high pass filter and the sub has a low pass filter, so it makes my studio setup very, very simple. I assigned my ID knob to mono the output. Who would have thought that it's so much easier than just doing it in the DAW? Plus, you don't have the risk of bouncing and releasing your track in mono. I've read some horror stories on Reddit, so it's real. Now let's talk about the features that are out there but I almost never use, or the features that people complain about missing. 10 dB boost is an interesting one. I'm not sure why it's there. There is plenty of gain, and as far as I know, it's done digitally. So if you know the answer, let me know. There are 6 virtual output channels, and you can do a very sophisticated routing there. Let's say if you're recording multiple musicians or if you're a DJ. I'm pretty sure it's very useful, but I don't have a case for it. I know a lot of people love it, but I have the interface set up to the left of me, and I also use the touchpad with my left hand, so it doesn't make me any more productive. There is none, and I know this puts a lot of people off, but I mostly use MIDI over USB devices, so it's not a problem for me. Also, if I have to choose between ADAT input versus MIDI, well, a USB MIDI dongle costs about $10. ADAT is much more expensive. You can only use one pair of headphones at a time. It's not my case, but something to consider. That's it. Let me know if I missed anything or you had a different experience with this interface. If you're considering buying one and you have a question, so feel free to ask in the comments, and see you in the next one.